is the minimum that makes it worth your while, and that then becomes your minimum acquisition criteria for that deal, which I would recommend everybody here think about that. It's like,
Yep.
what am I, and Gary's, situation is a great example. Is, I realized I started a little smaller than I wanted ultimately for me to be, but at the same time, you got the experience doing the deals, and that often gives you the confidence to go to the next level.
So I'm heading home here with a CFE deal. It's almost done, and it's an HVAC company. It's owner operated. The owner's interested in. He's got a couple subcontractors for him that have very small, essentially one-man operations. So he is interested in the idea of essentially an acquisition of this residential HVAC, this commercial HVAC to build out his service team.
Okay.
So my question is essentially what you would think the structure would be for something like that, whether it be, hopefully I would help him through all that process. So it's like, what would my percentage be? What would that look like between me and the platform business versus those that are being acquired? Because I know the ones that we would acquire, the subs, for instance, they would probably want to retain some level of equity. So basically, what does the structure look like? Percentages, all that good stuff.
So much room for negotiation there that there really isn't like a standard kind of
Sure.
situation. So I'd say the first thing is looking at the numbers. What is the minimum that makes it worth your while, and that then becomes your minimum acquisition criteria for that deal, which I would recommend everybody here think about that. It's like,
Yep.
what am I, and Gary's, situation is a great example. Is I realized I started a little smaller than I wanted ultimately for me to be, but at the same time, you got the experience doing the deals, and that often gives you the confidence to go to the next level. So there's no wrong path, but that's something I would think about.
Okay.
In terms of like kind of the way that we look at deals like that would be whatever I look at it independently of each other. So one deal is platform, the next deal is acquisitions for the platform, which could also be called a roll up, right? And how big you want that to be, is up to you. But then what I would do is I would look at the platform and say, whatever it is that I'm going to do to help the platform, what do I want for that? What makes it worthwhile? And I do like, if you haven't, heard the standardized kind of 10, 10, 10, 20, 20, 20 deals, that's a very good way to go into that. Now, if you're going to be like a significant part of the acquisition part, and the platform people are really going to just kind of help with systems and stuff like that, I would want a significantly larger piece of that deal than if all I'm doing is kind of like referring people, right? So I think that's the other thing to look at, is what's the scope of the services that you're going to be providing, and how much time do you see that of all the time that you have available taking? And for that, range wise, I would say you could make it part of your current deal and just say, as part of the 10, 10, 10 or 20, 20, 20, what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you grow by acquisition, and that's just part of that deal. Or you could say, for your deal, it's 10, 10, 10 or 20, 20, 20 or whatever. And then on the acquisitions, it's 50, 50, because I'm going to basically put those deals together. I'm going to negotiate them. It's going to take a lot of my time, and I'm going to add significant value. And then they're just going to roll into the ops. You'll be doing a lot too, because you're going to be handling the integration into the current ops, but that's a 50, 50 situation. And that way, by separating them, you don't lose out on a larger participation in the acquisitions because you're stuck with the 10, 10, 10, but you also have part of the platform company, which I think is important to incentivize the owner of the platform company to pay attention to the process of the acquisitions, because
Right.
they need to invest time in that. Otherwise, they're going to be busy doing their own stuff, and it'll be a kind of a secondary focus because they don't have any skin in the game. So I really do want them having skin in the game. Worst case, I'd say platform company says, I mean, really all you're going to be doing is focused on the acquisition, so I don't see that you need any part of this, which would be okay too. And we've done that where we say, that's fine, but you need to capitalize the acquisition company, and it's a 10-10 or 20-20-20 deal there. So you're going to need to fund that minimum of 10 or 20 grand a month, because I need to know that you're invested. So I need a commitment from you to fund, the first 12 months of that operation. So I'm not trying to overwhelm you with options, but because you're kind of like, well, what should I do percentage
Yeah.
wise? That's some of the things to think about and a few of the ranges. Is that helpful?
It is. It is.